Our final men's episode now here of our SIUE Basketball Coaches Show. Please welcome our head men's coach, Brian Baroni, to the microphone. Coach, I'll start off the same way that I did talking to Coach Sam and talk about that decision that you made. Got to go on the road early, got to get out ahead of the storm. And again, that means you got guys scrambling. You got 15 players, your coaches. You've got to make different arrangements than you thought you were going to.
Yeah, absolutely. It was there was the logistics behind it. You're talking to your administration about hey, here's what we might have to do. You want their expertise. Dan McIver was talking to us about some of the travel plans and options. Ryan Hellenthal right away was getting potential hotels. You have to get a bus. I mean, there's just stuff that logistically has to happen, and on top of packing and getting all the game stuff ready. None of that mattered more than me having to tell my wife I was leaving a day early, and she's gone in Washington, D.C. this week. So going home and breaking that one was I was not overly excited about that because she loves me so much, right? We love each other so much, want to be around each other. But it was a chaotic morning, and it was the right decision to go. I think that when you have a group of guys like we luckily have, the decision wasn't anything other than what helps us gives us the best opportunity to win, and what's safe and what's the best opportunity to win. And you didn't have any, hey, do we need to be around these guys one more day, or they want to be around each other one more day? You don't want that on a team ever, and we surely don't have that right now.
You lead me into my next point because I was there on that Tuesday night, obviously, and Coach Bradley organized a whole event at a main event, which is essentially a gigantic arcade. And I think even going in, thoughts in my head are kind of like, oh, are they going to be too cool for school? And they just jumped right in. And your entire team was competing with one another and messing around with one another. And you told me it was when we talked before the Morehead State game, I think, they weren't even rushing to go pick up their phones.
Yeah.
They just genuinely enjoyed a relaxed night with each other.
Yeah, that was cool. You sit back and you watch them. They're playing. You had a group of guys playing this NBA Jam. It's like big game now. It used to be just a little video game back in our '96 high school graduation days. But and then there was laser tag where like Des Polk came up and he's like, "Hey, coach, you playing?" They wanted to which as a coach sometimes, especially as a head coach, you're left out quite often. You're left out of the know quite often in certain things. But there was just like, hey, it was fun to have everyone kind of involved in the Papa Shots, the different video games, the bowling. And it was different groups of guys being with different groups of guys, and I took note of it. They weren't on their phone. They were on a different kind of electronic, but whether it was laser tag bowling or some of that, it was a time where we actually had to say, hey, let's go.
Yeah. And
when you have that opportunity to be around a group of people that we've had that at my house. I mean, there was times where they just, I'm sitting there in the kitchen and you're just like, you guys don't have to stay. You can stay as long as you want. But they're not in a rush to do anything away from each other, which is a blessing.
And it makes a huge difference. It carries over onto the basketball floor.
Yeah, absolutely. We did a list because we obviously didn't play that well last Saturday at all. And after every game, we talk about positive, good, and then improvements. And we had a lot of improvements that they were self-aware of. But one of the things that we had on the good, the only thing we had on the good, was togetherness. We had togetherness. We didn't break. We didn't play well. We didn't do what we were supposed to do from a basketball standpoint. But collectively together, there was no wavering in that frustration other than like, man, we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. So say, hey, all these things we can fix today. We're not fixing togetherness today. We didn't lose that. We just didn't play well. So, again, it's a luxury right now to be around, and you got to stay in the moment. And we've been trying to do that.
Thursday night, you get the road win at Morehead State. And for folks that don't know, Morehead State, like Coach Sam said, it's a different arena. It's a little bit of a different type of place to play. But the other thing that it's been, at least on the men's side, is near impossible to win in that arena. And I get it, maybe they're having a little bit of a down year, but to take your team there and not just win, but really stretch it out and win going away says a lot about where this program is right now.
Yeah, I mean, we went down there. I joked with Ray about he had never won there. Even though he was on the team during the year that we went down there and won the COVID year, they were the first game we played in conference before everything went kind of chaotic.
It was a mid-December game.
Yeah, it was mid-December. So I would joke like Dez is the only one to win, and Ray's like, I'm on the, you can't say I was on the team for this other stuff and not this. But we hadn't done that in a little bit of time, and it's a long trip. It's just it's a tough trip to make. It really is, especially in the middle of the week, towards the end of the season, and then you go in there and they're well coached. They have good players. They have support, and so going in there doing what we needed to do. Going into halftime, we hit 3 to go up by 5. Came out of half, got 7 straight stops, and then kind of took control of the game. There was one little stretch where they cut it from 8 to 5 or 8 to 4. We addressed it in a timeout and really responded accordingly. Without
a doubt, and that's another thing. Again, just kind of tells you where this team is at, because that wouldn't always be the case.
No.
To withstand that, and not just withstand it, but then to stretch it out from there.
Mm-hmm. We've talked about that. One of the things for us to continue to achieve what we want to achieve in the long term is that we have to, make your leads bigger.
Yeah.
You don't want to, every conference, I mean, there's a lot of times you're going to see, there'll be a 15, 20-point game early in a half or first or second half, and you flip the channel, you go back, and next thing you know, it's a 5-6-point game. Conference, you're in the same conference for a reason. There's a lot of similarities, and that's just kind of how it works. But for us to take that step on the road and expand it from 8 to then it goes down to 5, but then we got it up to 10 to 12, and then we kept on growing it and held that lead. That right there said a lot about our approach in that particular game and our growth as a team.
You mentioned Southern Indiana, and obviously, as you said, not a game, admittedly, where they played well. What were some of the things that the guys kind of pointed out coming out of that game, coming out of that Saturday night game?
Yeah, I think that we didn't guard the ball well. We didn't square up well, and that was one of the things. And then that leads to, all right, you make a mistake by gambling is the next thing. Well, once you gamble, it's gambling for a reason, right? Like, Vegas is built for a reason. It's not like Vegas is gone. Like, if you keep on gambling, your problems are going to happen. And, we put ourselves in a position where we were scrambling a little too much. And then through our eagerness to make the comeback and to make a play, you're trying to do something that another team can expose, and you're rolling the dice a little bit on certain situations. And you cut it to 5. We go down there, get a foul. It goes up to 7. We miss a shot, wide open shot to cut it to 6 or 5 again. And then they did what they needed to do. They made shots. They played together. They played aggressively. They had SEMO beat, a week or two prior. They had us at our place. They're a good team. They just haven't won a lot of games this year. And unfortunately, we didn't do what we needed to do, and they did very well that particular night. And we addressed it after the game. We addressed it again today, and you get ready for this week. But it's part of our growth. Unfortunately, you like growing in other ways, but it's part of what we had to do.
As you get started into this huge week, and we'll talk more about it in the second segment, but as you get started and you get out there on Monday to get that first practice in, I have to imagine they were probably pretty eager to get out and to address some of those things.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the positives or the things that we need to make more positive and the good. We got out there. We changed we did basically the same thing we always do on a Monday practice, just kind of change a few things of kind of our approach a little bit. And you could see there was a level of focus and understanding of what what we get to do on Thursday, and then obviously Saturday as well, and a reboot. Mondays are always a little, you have a long travel, you have a day off, and then you get back Monday afternoon, and you kind of got to reshift your brain back into scout and that approach. So they were eager to get out there. As a coach, you always want more perfection. But I thought we did some really good things today and had some really good conversations in film after practice, as a matter of fact. They were up there. Quite a few of them were up in our office after practice. And I was having a conversation with Brian Taylor and Des Polk about a particular coverage. And it was neat because it was about 10 minutes, into the conversation. That's what it was, a conversation. It was, what are you guys feeling out there? All right, this is why I think we should do this, but I need you guys to buy into it, because ultimately, like, whatever my idea is, like, I could draw cool plays, all day. They can go execute a real simple play, and it looks a heck of a lot cooler than the play I draw. So you want to have that conversation with these guys, and that's again, I say luxury often with this team. It is, because we were kind of agreeing to disagree, but we went out there talking about, all right, let's go try this tomorrow and keep the buy-in. And again, it was just that level of investment because they cared. It was pretty cool.
We'll have more to come with Coach. We're going to visit with Kyle Thomas coming up in segment number 2. Please welcome Kyle Thomas to our SIUE Basketball Coaches Show. Kyle from the Chicago area, and started your college career at Eastern Illinois. Yep. Went to Bradley last year. Yep. Back in the Ohio Valley Conference. What was it about this team, this program, that brought you here to Edwardsville?
It's the same thing everybody talks about, the togetherness, really. The family aspect. It was really Baroni. Baroni made a great pitch, and he kept his word for it. He's been there for me. I've had conversations with him when I needed it the most. So that was really that's what got me here.
You had a good freshman season at Eastern Illinois. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the playing time wasn't there at Bradley. What was it that he said, or what made you think, hey, this is where I can come and be successful again?
He believed in me. It was as simple as that. He believed in me. He made it known that he believed in me from the beginning. And from that moment on, it was a no-brainer for me.
When you come back to a conference that you were in and that you have a year of experience in, do you feel like you can impart some of that wisdom, if you will, to younger players, guys on this team, even coming in as a newcomer?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've done that this year with some of the guys that have come in. Like I said, I know how the league is. I was here my freshman year, so it was really just making sure that they understood what it was from a freshman perspective, knowing that I was here as a freshman as well. So
a little bit of a tough start to your year, obviously dealing with injury. The other thing that I want to mention that I don't know if all of this group knows, but SIUE started the season, second game of the year at Indiana. I know that game was special to you. Your dad played there. He was a 1,000-point scorer, Daryl Thomas, at Indiana. To be there and to have them then recognize your mom and your family there, what was that like for you?
I still don't have any words for that. When it all happened and I looked up and I just saw them on the Jumbotron, I was just like, this is crazy. Like, it sucked that I wasn't able to play in it due to injury, but just to be in the gym, to know that I was in the same place that he was for 4 years, it was a surreal moment. Like, I've been watching YouTube videos of him playing in that gym. I've watched a clip of Knight throwing a chair across the floor 100 times. Like, he's told me plenty of stories about him getting kicked out of practice, just all that. So to finally be able to step into that gym, it was a dream come true, honestly.
It really illustrates the point that there's a lot more going on than just a ball bouncing and 5 guys on a team on the floor, right?
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
I remember I think it was the night before the game after the shoot around, walking up a stairs, and you found a picture of a newspaper, I think, framed of your dad. That was pretty cool.
No, yeah. I mean, I've seen that same photo plenty of times. I mean, it's one of the most notable ones out there, all 3 of them standing up there holding the trophy. So just seeing that, I mean, knowing, again, that I was in some way in his presence, it was great. It was great.
So as I said, you started the season off injured, missed some time. It was almost perfect timing. The team loses Darian Baker. You come in, you come off the injured list, and then within a couple of games, Arnie Sakanis goes down. You've got to get into the starting lineup. That kind of a rush, kind of a whirlwind right there.
I mean, yeah, no, it's basketball. So coming back, the second I was able to play, I knew I had to be ready at any moment. I know the type of team we have. I know the type of guys we have. I know we're all resilient. So I didn't feel like we were going to take a step back at all. I just knew them guys had my back, so they were going to let me do what I had to do to get back, and they trusted me to continue to help the team out.
And this team's been like that, and I know a lot of coaches say that, a lot of people around their teams say that, but I talk to Brian about this all the time after a game. When you looking at a game's finished, and whether it's Jordan Pickett's coming off the bench and he's got 5 minutes that are super impactful, or you've got somebody else that is super impactful, and then you've got guys that maybe they didn't see the floor that night, but they could do that very same thing, couldn't they?
Oh, 100%. 100%. We have guys that, honestly, they probably deserve it. I'll admit, they've worked their tails off all year. They've been a great part of helping us be successful. But when it comes down to it, from the starting five to the next unit to even the guys all the way at the end, everybody on this team is impactful in their own ways. They can all impact the game at any moment.
Tell me about going on the road. We've talked a lot about it tonight. Your first start this year was that Tennessee State game that ends up going into double overtime, just an absolute knockdown, drag-out game. But you've got games like Morehead State, like Tennessee Tech. This team's had some real success on the road, and that's a testament to your group of guys.
Yeah, no, I mean, that just comes down to togetherness for real. Like, that's what we've been preaching all year is our togetherness, being a unit, playing within ourselves, but then also understanding that, you know, we are a good team, we are good individual players, and we can all go impact the game individually, but knowing that doing it together just makes that feeling better.
When we talked about that Tuesday night in Lexington at that main event,
Yeah.
It was cool for me to see you guys just kind of like chill out and like, you know, be able to just relax and be a group of guys having fun. That's what it seemed like anyway. Is that what it felt like to you guys?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's us. That's how we've been all year. I mean, from even back in the summer, like we all clicked immediately. Like looking back, I like to analyze a lot of things. So especially when it comes down to our team and just how guys are, this is probably the most connected team I've ever been on, at least from one player to another. Like, we haven't had no real issues within the team. We're all brothers. We have our scuffles and we're family, so we get over it. But this is a real tight group of guys. We just all like being around each other. I mean, that's ain't much more I can say about it.
No, I mean, being around the team, I can feel it, and it feels that way to me. And I've seen a lot of teams, obviously, here. You have had a lot of experience, obviously, in the OVC, in the Missouri Valley Conference as well. What's special about this team, and can this team go win an OVC championship?
Our togetherness, again, like that's one of the main drives of this team is the fact that we're all together, that we all play for each other, that we all understand that it's bigger than just one person. This is a team. This is a group of guys that we can go win. When we're playing together, when we're doing what we know we should be doing, when we're playing SIUE's brand of basketball, it's no telling, really.
What kind of hunger is there this week when you have two teams way back in December, both losses on the road? Now you got them in your house with a chance to do something really special.
We know what we have to do. That's it. We know what we have to do. They got us early in the year, but from then to now, we're a completely different team. I'm for sure they are too, but I know we didn't come with our best foot forward them first two games, so we're looking to change the narrative.
How much have you enjoyed the crowds inside of First Community Arena this year?
Oh, it's great. It's great. What the setup in there is great. I love it. Knowing that there's the stuff for the kids up at the top, that's probably one of the biggest things with me was just seeing that, and I was like, okay, but this really brings that family home. Like, you know, you're not just going to watch a game. You're going to, you know, spend time with people you probably see. It's just great. It's great.
Well, Kyle, we enjoy having you as part of the SIUE family. Thanks for taking some time tonight, man.
No, of course, always.
Kyle Thomas with us here on the SIUE Basketball Coaches Show. We got one more segment coming up with Coach Baroni. Our final segment of our final show here at Global Brew this year, the SIUE Basketball Coaches Show. Brian Baroni back at the other microphone. What's it mean to you when you hear Kyle Thomas come up here and talk about, hey, I was sold that this is a family, but now I'm living this as a family?
It's it makes you think of your mom and dad.
Yep.
And to be honest with you, and that's it's as simple as that. And I don't have my parents anymore, and that's the true answer. I know that they would be proud that Mimi and I have tried to attempt to do what they did my entire life for what they did for my sister and brother and I, and the teams that they impacted. Kyle is an interesting story. When he was here on the recruiting visit, I have these pictures in my office, and the number 24 is very important to Kyle. His father is 24, and we do some things in recruiting. This one I did not do on purpose. This was like just a so be it type of thing. And he was playing at Bradley before he had transferred here, and we were sitting in there with his mom. I think his sister was outside because she didn't want to listen to me anymore. His brother didn't want to listen to me anymore. And we were just in there talking, kind of giving our, hey, here's our vision. And his mom had talked about she had sat down while they were just playing some pickup in seat number 24. And, it was kind of emotional about it. And then she said, I've been sitting here and I'm looking at the wall right there, and the number 24 is on that picture right there. And I look over to the side, and it's crazy. There's a huddle, and everyone in this huddle has their shooting shirt on, except for one player, number 24. And there's this little boy in a blue outfit at a Bradley game, still not figuring out why my parents had me in a blue outfit, walking by that number 24 40 years ago. And the only number, and he was number 24 at Bradley. And then we were at a huddle at Bradley, and his mom, I don't know if you remember if he walked out, but she grabbed him, and she's like, that's your coach when he was little. I was like, well, that's a good sign, because he had not committed yet. But like it was crazy, and he had lost his father. I lost mine at a later age, but we had it's a long-winded answer to your question, but it's important to me because it says at least at least with him we're following through. Mm-hmm. And it's not every day that it's great. It's not every day that you're coming in and there's it's like Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory or something like that. But what you do have is you have a foundation and some genuine relationships that are continuing to build in a time that's very hard to have the time to build those relationships.
You were very very adamant about your guys recognizing what it meant to Kyle to be standing on that floor at Indiana as well. Because, as we've said, there is so much more than just what happens during a basketball game. Yeah,
it stinks because he wasn't able to play, so I became a little less good of a coach, because when you have better players, you become a better coach. But when we were in that same meeting, we were in the negotiations with Indiana, and I'd mentioned, hey, would you be comfortable if we played them? Because like some people, like it is like it might be tough. And I thought it was awesome because his mom had come back with his siblings, some other people had come back, and that was the first time they had been there. And they, through the relationship and that we have with, for me working at Indiana, it was really cool that they set up, a recognition of showed his mom, showed Kyle, even though he wasn't able to play. So, you gotta take advantage of those moments. Because it is such a crazy business we're in, and it's determined so much on wins and losses to a lot of people, but it goes way beyond the wins and losses on the court. You just got to stack those wins in those type of moments.
So you've put yourself, and this team has put itself in position to do really special, has already done really special things, but still work to be done. Mm-hmm. 2 big games. You've got 2 teams, as we talked about, that got you in December. And as Kyle said, that wasn't the same team. That wasn't the same Cougar team that they're going to see this week in Southeast Missouri on Thursday, Little Rock on Saturday. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's hyperbole to say it's the two biggest games right now of the D1 era.
No, I mean, that's kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of fun.
100%
I mean,
it
you know,
is.
you want to put yourself in a position to play a game that's, you know, arguably one of the most important games that the school has seen. And let's go see how it goes. You know,
Right.
it's going to be, I know at the end of this weekend, we're going to be better for the tournament no matter what happens. Obviously, I want to win both games. There's no doubt about that. And we're going to be better from hopefully 2 wins. But what you want to do is you want to go out there. You get it. I talked to the guys today. You get an opportunity to go kind of right what once went wrong, to quote Quantum Leap. That's a great show, Dr. Sam Beckett. So, but if we lost 2
Are
games.
we talking current Quantum Leap?
No,
or
not
old
the
Scott
current
Bakula?
one. The current
Okay.
one's not as good.
Right.
The old one was great.
Yes.
But we talked about, you know, we have an opportunity to, and they're a different team too. They have guys that are contributing differently. We didn't do great down there, obviously coming away with a loss, but you know, Kyle had just come back the day before. Was his first real kind of big game at Little Rock. He played a little bit in the Mobap game. And then Arnie was very sick in that particular game. Not excuses by any means, but they didn't get a good version of us. And maybe we didn't get the best version of them either. And that's what right now, if I'm the OVC, I'm pretty fired up that the schedule, through all the scheduling fun that the OVC does every year, it's somehow worked out this way right now that you have some pretty important games in what I would say the best arena and best atmosphere and best fans, and I can genuinely say that in our conference.
That's what makes it hard to win on the road, right? When they got to come here and play in First Community Arena.
It is. I mean, it's we've had great success at home because we have good players, a coach that tries to stay out of their way at times and let them do their thing, and a great community that goes out there and does a great job of embracing these guys. And we want you guys to come out and like lose your minds on Thursday and Saturday. Like just when something like kind of feels like we should be cheering, like cheer double hard on that one. You know, act like you're like my kids at the house when they're trying to convince us to get ice cream or something like that. Let's just go have a let loose atmosphere on Thursday and Saturday. And I talked about it after the game. You know, bring a friend not because it's going to help us win the game. It's going to help us be better. But like, I want the people that haven't seen what our administration has done and the people that have worked behind the scenes on top of our team. I'm very proud of our team, but I want to see like that environment and people. I want people to experience what other people have experienced. I mean, that's pretty cool. And we're always looking for entertainment.
You don't want to be the guy that like is in a group, right? And everybody's like, "Hey, I was there when that happened," and you're like, "Oh, I wasn't there."
And there'll be a couple guys that weren't there. But they're going to say they were there. Hopefully, after these few games, but it's going to be. I talked about to our guys. I said we talked. The great Al McGuire, Coach McGuire, said he knows he's doing his job when he walks in there. And you look up to the corners, and the corners are filled. Let's go fill the corners. Like, let's go do that these next couple of games. Like, make that effort that you have already made as a fan base to go enjoy each other and selfishly, I wouldn't mind sitting there and taking a moment and showing the product of these young men that I'm honored to coach in front of a packed house.
And so folks know all at the very worst, you're going to be a 3 seed going into the OVC tournament, which means a first round bye, which is the first time that this program has been that high. But depending on what happens this week, that 2 seed and ultimately the regular season championship are still within reach. And both the 1 and 2 seed come with a double bye all the way to the semifinals. So it could not be more important.
No, you say it like me, like I'm so self-deprecating at times. Like, what's the worst case scenario right here? Like, what? Okay, we're third, we got to bye. No, and I really mean it. That's how I sadly live sometimes. But then you flip it around. Well, what the best case scenario is, we come out of here champions.
That's
we go out there and we set the tone on Thursday. We do what we're supposed to do on Thursday. I think let's connect some dots a little bit. There's a pretty darn good coach prior to me here that could still has a heart a little bit in SIUE that could help us out a little bit.
That's
if
right.
we go up there to Eastern. So come on, things happen for a reason sometimes, and we to be in this position, to have this level of this experience right now, this late in the season. We are going to be better because of it. And then next, we'll have a bye for sure, which is pretty awesome when you think about it from that the perspective. And then we're in a different hotel. Like, we're going to be a little closer to the arena, right? We might not have to take the bus hopefully not take the bus right now. But it's things that are different every year. It's awesome for a guy like Rayshon Taylor and Des Polk to be able to leave here and say every year it was better. And you got, a few guys right now with Des, who've been here for 5 years, Ray 5 years, Declan Dillon, who's been here for a year and I've known for way too long, and Eddie Torrado, who brings it every single day. Hit that 3 against Eastern the other day. He will be ready down the stretch, I guarantee it. And then Aiden Hall, who is such an important part of our program. Those 5 guys right now, 3 of them have been with me for 5 years. And it's just something that's going to be pretty darn cool to see.
Great way to wrap it up, Coach. Always appreciate the time. We hope everybody is out on Thursday and Saturday at First Community Arena. We appreciate everybody coming out to Global Brew tonight, but all season long as well. And always appreciate the chance to break it down with you, Coach.
No, this is awesome. Thanks for doing this.
Cougars head coach Brian Baroni. Again, thanks to you for coming out. Big thanks to Global Brew for being our host again for season number 2 of the SIUE Basketball Coaches Show.